bring your stories alive. Voices in harmony, dreams amplified. From the page to the wall, let the echoes ignite. Spoken makes your vision take flight. Authors with stories, hearts full of fire.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Future Fiction Academy, where we help creatives learn how to make their best stories with artificial intelligence. And we have a lot going on today, everybody. As you can hear from the music, it's spoken time. It is spoken time. We are having ourselves quite the blast today because I've got not one person, but two people from Spoken, the premier application to help you create an audiobook with artificial intelligence. So I would love to bring to the stage my man, the CEO of Spoken. His name is Phil, and Joshua. Not only a great man, but also he's movie royalty in the classic sense, because his grandfather or somebody in his past was a projectionist at a movie theater. I'm telling you, we're going to have ourselves a good time today. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Great. Good to be with you.
Good. And ladies and gentlemen, the name of the song that I just played is called Spoken. I have a whole full playlist of songs that I made up. And what I'm going to do at the end of this, I'm going to make sure that it's in the description below. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make the playlist while we're in the middle of this and make sure this is in the description below. All right. Gentlemen, how you doing? All right, so how are you? How is your day going? And actually, where are you two located? Are you in the same spot right now?
No, I'm in Portland, Oregon. And Joshua's coming from Vegas, so we're a distributed group.
Vegas, the place that instantly has is a 3-team city all of a sudden.
No, right? And growing.
Baseball. You get a baseball team. You stealing everything from Oakland. A baseball team, a football team, and as soon as LeBron decides he needs to retire, y'all are getting a basketball team too. So I'm hoping that he retires pretty soon myself, because I'm from Seattle, and I'm pretty sure that we get our team when you get your team. So I'm very excited about that. And you're in Portland, Portland, Oregon. I didn't realize you were so close, Phil. We should have gone fishing or something, my man. I had no idea you were.
We can go fishing. I live on the Columbia, and so I can go fishing anytime I want.
Yeah. I am so now your friend, Phil.
In fact, I was in Seattle for several days. Joshua and I both were, because we had a big presence at the WorldCon Science Fiction and Fantasy festival there. So it was a great moment. It's the launch of my debut novel, as well as having shared some of the great news about Spoken with that crowd as well.
I'm super excited for you. I know the thrill of putting out your first novel, and it is palpable, my man. It is. To use a word that AI used to love to use, it is absolutely palpable. It feels it's a visceral kind of, it's my baby sort of thing. When did it release?
It comes out next Friday. So on the 12th of September is the actual launch day, but I handed out a lot of advanced reader copies at WorldCon, and I'm happy to say that the reviews are coming in, and so far it's stellar. I'm on cloud nine. I can't wait. I can't wait to release the audiobook as well. We're just going to release a teaser of the first chapter next Friday when the book launches, and then we'll come out at a staged release after that with the multi-voice audiobook from Spoken, of course, which we'll talk about here. So, yeah,
you know what? I just realized as I'm looking at this screen that it's almost, I'm going to change the background from the opening background to something different, because the bottoms of your lips in this particular configuration is very odd. Or maybe I could change it to...
My chin has never looked better, and so thank you for that treatment.
I hear you on that one. I look pretty daggone good myself. I was like, hey,
we could do it like that.
we could do that. Let me see. Let me change it to something nice. No, something. Yeah, I know, right? Oh my God, that's too funny. Something nice and neutral. There we go. Something nice and neutral. All right. So I've been playing around with spoken myself, but do me a favor. For the people who are uninitiated, for the folks who don't know who you are, I would love to do a little round robin. I want Phil, you give me a little background on who you are and what your company is. And Joshua, I'd love for you to also follow up with who you are and what you do inside of the company. All right, Phil.
Yeah, great. Thanks. So, so my journey was as a technologist, and after selling a conversational AI company in 2021, I went to finish Taming the Perilous Skies, which is that debut novel that we were just talking about. And through that process, the entrepreneurial bug bit again, and in trying to create a multi-voice audio story, I met all of the usual challenges in being able to achieve that from a workflow perspective, from a voice perspective. And so I knew that there was an opportunity. And so I founded Spoken, and we launched our beta more than a year ago. We were in beta for more than a year until just recently, about a week and a half ago, launching our full V1 product for the market. And so we're very exciting, very excited. It's an exciting time. It's a stressful time. We're charging for the product now, which is just a fraction, of course, what you would pay for audiobook generation normally. And we're getting a lot of really good feedback. We used that year-long period for learning and listening to authors and what they wanted. I'm a power user myself, right? So I'm completing Taming the Perilous Skies as a multi-voice audiobook. It actually became the first fully automated multi-voice audiobook in human history. And so it's got a little bit of a historic milestone, as well as being a fantastic multi-voice audiobook. And so yeah, that's the journey. And so now we're out there. We serve only authors and to help bring their works to life. And things are changing rapidly. Spotify just announced they've opened the floodgates to all digital narration, and so boom, mainstream validation automatically. And we're in touch with the good people at Amazon to be able to allow the same. They're not quite there yet, but
good luck on that one.
yeah, we're working on them.
I feel you working on them, but I know that they are such a large corporation that they would probably be a little, more tentative, a little more cautious as they move into this new arena. They don't want any bad press after all, or anything like that. So I would assume that they want to take their time stepping into this arena. But the Spotify thing, holy crap, that's going to be huge for you guys. So in this, you've officially announced this whole beta thing, right?
Well, the beta's over. We're now in.
No, I mean, beta, the launch thing, and everything is going on right now. What does this actually mean for the actual authors and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, for the authors, they're leveraging all those learnings, and so now they're interacting with a V1, full production product. And so, our goal is to automate everything we can possibly automate in order to actually create a great end result. And so we analyze the work deeply. If you end up going multi-voice instead of single narrator or dual narrator, which are really quite straightforward and simple by comparison, if you go multi-voice, we'll analyze every single character that you have, the way you wrote it, and we will generate a voice for that character, or we will tell you which among our voice actor voices that are in the library are best for that character. I have over 100 speaking characters in Taming the Perilous Skies, and so every single voice is bespoke, no pun intended, bespoke to that particular character. And so it's really pretty magical to hear your work come to life with those kinds of voices, and then be able to work with and optimize that mix. And so that's all the workflow that we created.
Well, what about you, Josh? What is your background? What in the world do you do at Spoken?
What in the world? So, as you brought up, I come from a bit of a lineage in the cinematic world. And my journey has been mostly in both creating and performing multimedia productions. So everything from film to music and writing, of course. And before I'd met Phil, I'd embarked on developing my own independent film company, producing music, and that culminated in a project which was an audio drama. You mentioned audio drama earlier when we spoke. And I tried to create my own audio drama, started as an audiobook. It took me about a year, cost a lot of money. I ended up voicing a lot of the voices because it was just, getting all those voice
Too
actors.
expensive.
Oh yeah. And a lot went into it. And when Phil was putting together his team, that's when I, of course, found Spoken and learned more about the product. And I was amazed by the opportunities that presented, obviously to me, but then understanding what it represented to the broader market, to every author and creator of that sort. So I joined, and from that perspective, I've been helping to push the product and help shape it in a way that's, I guess you could say, reverse engineer the process of making it organically, and seeing what I can do to help lead the developments to allow the AI to do that and automate those processes for the authors, as well as help create some of the brand imagery through my video media and production.
So the multi-voice thing, did you have to deal with it on any personal products of your own, projects of your own yet? Have you tried it out?
I have indeed, yes. I've produced quite a few works on Spoken. Some of those works were they would just never have been produced because, as audiobooks at least. So Spoken gave me the opportunity to do that, at the same time learning the product and understanding it thoroughly, and was really happy with the result. Really, really happy with it. In fact, I want to get that up on Spotify soon, my work there. And so to answer your question, absolutely.
It's interesting about Spotify. I've been thinking to myself for a very long time that this deal that they have with music people, that there was no way for them to sustain that sort of thing. And then they made a big deal with Joe Rogan. And then they did a couple of other things, including starting to bring in audiobooks and other podcasts and stuff like that, and because they want to keep more of the pie. So the more music you listen to, the less they get to keep because of their business model with the big music companies. And as a matter of fact, the big music companies all have invested in Spotify. So there's this finite sort of way that they can make money. But boy, how much more interesting it gets when they start making money on listening time for audiobooks. And those audiobooks, no matter what, and because they've never really been in the arena, that's a very interesting way to look at it. Amazon's been in the arena. They have established things with a lot of different people and all this stuff. But Spotify came at this in a brand spanking new way. So you guys get to really be in the forefront, on the wave, on the crest of the wave. You get to hang 10 in this whole way that the paradigm is shifting. Don't you agree?
Well, we're not going to disagree with that.
What do you feel? Yeah. How does it I know it's probably an exhilarating thing, but how does it feel to really feel like you're a paradigm shift, a new way? Is it working out like you wanted it to?
Yeah, so it's interesting. When I approached the opportunity to create Spoken, I'm driven by heart. I'm driven by gut. I don't look at spreadsheets. I don't figure out numbers. If I know something is going to be true, And I feel like I can help that become true in a way that's responsible, well designed, and fits the target market really well.
Has a lot of
And
quality.
so, and quality. And so that gives me confidence that I can win in that market. I can help my users to win in that market, in that new market. Then that's what I like to go after. And that's exactly what I did with Spoken. It was we're going to make. It's that writers right now have a problem with accessibility to great audio of their works. It is an accessibility challenge. Audio has always been an afterthought. Audio has always been, if you have the money to put behind it, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for your single narrator, $15,000 if you're really keen on
$15,000. Did you say
full cast? Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So if that's what you had interest in doing, it was off the table. And so I knew that this technology was going to be able to now make that accessible. And it's Spoken, whether you're doing single narrator, which is just easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and it just comes out.
Did we lose Phil?
Oh,
I think we might have.
I think I'm back.
Oh, there you are.
I'm sorry
All right,
about that.
So
I'm on
you were literally at
Starlink here, so you'll have to forgive me.
You said easy peasy lemon.
Yeah. Okay. So what I said was, if you wanted to do multi-voice instead, it's the same price with Spoken, because whether you're doing every passage and every speaking character, or you're doing it all in one big block, that really becomes the same cost structure for us. And so we're just aligning how we charge our customers with our cost structure, which is on the narration side. And so it doesn't matter what kind of narration you want on Spoken, it's going to be the same price either way.
What Joshua, the nuance thing with the nuanced characters and the way and the performance, I'm really intrigued by this particular aspect of it, because I was a professional actor for 25 years and I have done my share of voiceovers and stuff like that. And so I know that people connect with really good performance, right? So if that's the case, what's this nuanced character thing? How does it work? Is it something that actually you can tweak? Can you make it better? When you look at it for the first time and listen to it for the first time, how does that whole thing work? How does it make it? I mean, how does that mechanism work?
Well, it's really comprised of a few key components there. Number one would be designing the voice. So, as Phil mentioned, we put a lot of effort into deriving a really, really, I guess you could say, accurate prompt for each character based on how the author wrote them, and giving that as much life as possible so that when that voice is generated, that voice is accurate. Secondly would be the actual, voice model. And so the voice models we're using, we're happy to say, are very emotive, very performative as they are. But beyond that, we put extensive work, and this is something Phil's been just hammers at all the time, is understanding the performance in terms of cadence, in terms of those natural breaths and pauses that would come into a natural audiobook. And making sure that we are bringing in manuscripts with those things in mind. Phil would probably go into greater detail, and he's memorized the exact amount of milliseconds that go into every type of conversation and a dramatic performance. So I'll let Phil take it away there.
All right, give me an example, Phil.
Well, so it's that cadence that Josh was talking about. So it's all about narrative cohesion. And so when you do single narrator, that's pretty straightforward. The models do a nice job of retaining cohesion across that thought. But when you're taking every single spoken passage spoken by a different character, and so you have the dialogue passage here, and then you have the dialogue tag, and then you have a narrator exposition, and then you're back to another character. They're saying something else. That can be just a dog's breakfast of uncoordinated, and and lose the cohesion there. So what we've done in the spoken is really invent a way to be able to maintain that narrative cohesion across all of those passages, and that involves several things. Joshua mentioned a few of them, and so one of them is the actual pacing and timing. And so that's something that we really try to nail. And then there's the emotional cues that every single clip of that needs to carry through in order to carry the right carry the right emotion. And so we do a lot of things to really optimize that, and it's getting better all the time. But it's not as if it's completely hands-free right now. So what we always recommend for our users is, first, proof your voices. Make sure that you've got the voice that you want that's going to do well. We make it easy. We put the sample of what that character says into that sample, and then you can try several different samples. You can use a voice actor, and they'll be speaking the lines for them. But then, once you feel solid about those voices, go into each of your chapters, or at least the first one, then the second, then the third. Do a chapter at a time, at least for a couple, and do the narration. See how they work together. And then if you feel like everything's going well at that point, then you can blitz through and make spoken the entire work. And so that's what we recommend for our users. And in the end, multi-voice it's magical. It's been the thing that's been not accessible at all, and now it is. And so it's definitely going to be the largest area of growth for audiobooks. As far as where it settles out on what listeners want, though, I'll just jump ahead to that, and that is that our research shows that it's pretty evenly split right now. So I think we're going to have to see how it comes out, but what we're anticipating is that it's going to be pretty evenly split. A good delivery of multi-voice will probably be seen on par with single narrator by the same number of users. One user wanting one, another user wanting the other.
Got a great statement right here. I love spoken. I used it to create 2 full-length novels and 1 novella. It works beautifully and quickly. It sounds incredible, incredibly lifelike. So in all of this, you've talked about the expense of how much it would cost people. But I mean, so they're realistically going to save, I'm not sure what the price point is for creating a novel right now in spoken. What is that?
Yeah, so what we do is we charge the same way that writers think about their works, and that is by the word count. And so we do it in blocks of 5,000 words. And so we will round up to the nearest 5,000 word block. We'll charge you for that number of words from your work for that project. But then we give you a bundle more, what we call edit credits. So as you need to re-narrate those passages, as you need to correct those passages, you're not going to be nickeled and dimed at all. So the cost, it all depends on if you're a subscriber or not. If you're a subscriber, take 50% off the cost of those narration blocks. And so for 100,000 word novel, that might be $100 if you're a subscriber. And so that's a general ballpark.
It's a great deal for indies. Do you think that this is a thing that it can equally be used by independent authors as opposed to authors who are traditionally kind of have a big backlist and stuff like that? Does it feel like a better way to kind of attack that? Because
yeah, you should address that. You're talking with the authors all the time about that.
Yeah, I think both. We've seen evidence of both those types of authors using it for both of those purposes, consistently throughout the entire beta period, and we can see that use case just expanding for narrating your backlist, or self-published authors coming on there and trying to narrate their works for the first time. People who have never had an audiobook produced ever before. And just to respond there to Marty's comment. I remember Marty's story, Pieces of Margaret, was one of the more beautiful stories I've ever listened to on spoken. So thank you, Marty, for sharing that work. That was a great one.
You partnered with ElevenLabs and Hume, right? I was going to ask you a different question, but I think I want to ask you this question. What I want to ask is, there are all of these open source models that are getting better and better and better that are coming out. Or is there any moment where you would think about helping to integrate this, or are you all locked into deals with ElevenLabs and you?
Well, so open source models are fine. In fact, Josh Meyer, the founder of Coqui, is on our advisory board. I mean, he created the top open source model out there. But what we need, not just a model that behaves, we have to have scale. We have to have reliability. We've got to be able to retry. We've got to have backups. We've got to have logs. We've got to have queues. We've got to have true enterprise grade narration. And so that's why ElevenLabs and Hume are our choice right now. There are other possibilities, but there are no greater emotive sources out there for audio. Those are the emotive sources. Hume's slightly better, I would say, than ElevenLabs on the emotiveness. ElevenLabs has other advantages, though. And so, for example, you can speak into your microphone of your computer exactly how you want that passage delivered. We call it speak it. And ElevenLabs will come back around to the character's voice and it'll deliver it exactly like that. Right. So each of the providers has a little bit, and we're working with Hume to make sure that they understand how important that is, because sometimes you just need the delivery the way you need it. You know,
and it isn't hitting exactly like you want it to, and you want
that's right. Especially
you want that nuanced performance, right?
That's right.
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you, so that means that it's kind of like an unprecedented amount of control. And over at the Future Fiction Academy, we are all about authors having control of their future, control of how the AI does things, control. Tell me, in a little bit of a deeper way, how much. So you've already mentioned the speak it thing. Is there other parts of spoken that give you that extra level of control?
Sure. Yeah, lots of them. And so there's lexicon you can use in order to replace any word that might be found throughout your book. Maybe you're a fantasy writer and you use crazy names. You can just put it in phonetic once and we'll replace it across the board. So that helps quite a bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that helps quite a bit. But you know, it's interesting because when you talk about control, that to me is really the thing. And I've got to tell you, as I'm going through Taming the Perilous Skies and I'm making sure every single passage is delivered exactly as I want, that level of control is something that I'm realizing. And here's the other thing, is that it's not just control from just a output standpoint. If I can go and I can adjust or tweak or optimize my ebook at a moment's notice and re-upload it to KDP, with spoken, you now can upload passage number 28 in chapter 3 and just update it. Just update it. Can you imagine what you have to do to update a traditionally narrated audiobook? I mean, think about that, right?
You have to get the person back into.
Can't.
Oh my gosh, you have to get the person back into the studio.
It and changes then have the paradigm of how these stories live and breathe and become an organic work of art. That's what changes.
So the future is in your mind, the future is automation. The ability to automate all of these things to make sure that you're able to and even if you go that extra step where you still want I just thought of something. You could hire one actor and they could act out all of the different parts and everything, and then you could use speak it, right, to change things to exactly the way that, I mean, so there's a level of collaboration that you could go to if you really, 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 really wanted to, couldn't you?
Well, you could, yes, and that makes logical sense. In fact, we could do that today. We could take an entire work and put it through an emotive narrator, and then we can split it apart. It's what we call we do a pre-sliced model. This is a post-sliced model, and that is put each of those segments then through its own speaker. The problem is in the case of a voice actor, you still have that time, that burden, that cost.
Yeah.
And in the case of maybe either, not a perfect voice actor or using the AI as the first pass, you don't get all of the nuances of accent and pronunciation that are different between those voices. It's always going to stem from that initial source. And so the nice thing about the multi-voice approach that we take in generating exactly the right voice for that character is that they are bespoke for that. They are bespoke for that character, and they speak multiple languages. And I mean, a lot of my scenes in Taming the Perilous Skies occur in Milan, and so there's quite a bit of Italian in mine. And
actual spoken Italian.
Yeah, there's a few actual spoken lines of Italian for impact. One of them's one of my favorites. Olivia Martirana, one of my main characters, just, you don't know that she speaks Italian, but she's confronting the Prime Minister of Italy, and then she just goes in and I mean, she's like nails, and everybody in the room is like, what? Because she nails this Italian passage. And
think of the theme of that. Think of the subtext of that. What have y'all been saying without her realizing that without y'all realizing that she knows how to speak Italian, y'all?
Well, and in the year 2076, because everybody's lenses can translate and show you exactly what's being said, and prompt just anything. The other people in the room know what she just said.
Bill, I got to read your book. As a matter of fact,
way. Okay, twist my arm.
Well, you have the audiobook already?
No, we're going to be releasing only the first chapter as a teaser next Friday when the book launches. And then we're going to stage the actual release probably 2 weeks after that.
My gosh. I just realized there's a business model. That's a business model. So you as an individual, as an author, you could release one of your chapters a week, a month, or something like that. So say you have like a 52 chapters. I say 52 because that's how many weeks there are in a year. Anyway, but say there are 52 chapters, and you release the book, and then every week you release a new chapter until it's done. And then by that time, you're releasing your second book. Ooh! Oh, I'm gonna give myself a little pat on the back for that one.
Yeah, well, in fact, that's what you can do unspoken, is you can release teaser trailers, whatever you want, to your friends, and then when the work is all compiled and ready to go, you can take it with you, download the work, upload it to Spotify. We're starting to work with In Audio, which used to be Findaway Voices as well, and so whether it's BookFunnel, it's Kobo, or whatever, someday Amazon also. You can take the completed work, but yeah, you can release serially on spoken if that's what you'd like to do.
Oh my gosh. Let me see here. I just want to make sure I'm getting to all of the cool. What you're doing is you're answering multiple questions all in like one moment. I had this like beautiful little manicured list of things I want to say, and I'm just like hopping all over it now because we were talking.
We're reading your mind, man.
You are. You're reading my mind. Okay, so let's see here. No, we already did. How do you think spoken changes the audiobook listening experience for readers compared to traditional single narrator books?
Yeah, Joshua, you're the guy on that.
So Keller, you're asking about how multi-voice works change the experience versus single narrators. I think that you kind of hinted at how it does that when you mentioned audio movie. It's not quite a movie per se, but with the multi-voice experience, you do get that dynamic of conversation happening in real time, and sort of the action seems to move along with more. There's a better pace to it, right? When it comes to single voice narration, I think there are very few, at least in my experience, very few narrators who can carry both the exposition, the action, the dialogue, all the dynamics across an entire novel and keep you thoroughly engaged. Very limited amount of narrators who can do that. Whereas with multi-voice, you have so many different colors that as a listener, personally, and what we're seeing also when we look at the market, when we look at how listeners are behaving, they're more engaged. They're engaged. It feels episodic. It feels
like they're watching a television show or something.
Correct. Yeah. It feels there's more life to it, to put it simply.
Yeah, you just kind of sneakily answered my my follow-up question, which was any data feedback from listeners about what they're experiencing when they're actually listening to these multi-voice narrators. Is that what you're hearing?
It is, yeah, it is. And also in our conversations with some of these streaming services, a few of them have hinted to us that the younger audience, the Gen Z, the generation beneath them, they're sort of being trained on these multi-voice experiences as the way they come to learn of audiobooks and the way they come to experience audiobooks. So I do think in that way, it's sort of the future.
I know that this feels futuristic yet old-timey. Back in the day, when all you didn't have video, all you had was audio on a radio, where everyone would sit around in the 30s and 40s, and they would before everyone had a television in their house, they'd all gather around a radio and listen to a multi-actor sort of narration of some story, and it would be a radio. What did they call it? A radio drama.
Audio drama.
Audio drama.
That's right.
So you're almost bringing that back to life in a modern way. You know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about that. So there's single narrator.
Okay, let's talk about that, Phil.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different categories. So for us, it's all about authors and finding an audience where their story is brought to life, right? Where the reader or the listener is lost in story. There's the single narrator voice actor that doesn't do voices, right? They might do a little bit of inflection difference, but it's not like Jim Dale doing Harry Potter series. You know what I'm saying? Or Stephen Fry. Then there's the Stephen Fry or Jim Dale approach, right? Which is,
where they embody other characters completely.
Right. Dungeon Crawler Carl, perfect example. So these are where they really bring to life each of those voices. Now that's a rare bird voice actor who can do that really well. And then what you have is true full cast or multicast, or what we call multi-voice. And that's different than audio drama. How is that different? It's different than audio drama because our goal with multi-voice is still to allow the reader to be lost in story, as opposed to be entertained in the background by gunshots or sound effects or lots of different things, car doors slamming, still being able to be lost in story, just as if Stephen Fry or Jim Dale were telling a story to it. It's just using the different voices to make that a little bit clearer, a little bit more compelling, and yet not the audio drama end of this spectrum. Does that make sense? Being lost in story without being distracted?
Yeah. So do you think that you'll have the capacity for not necessarily sound effects, but maybe music beds at all or anything like that?
Sure. Yeah. In fact, we're already experimenting with that. Just the lead-ins, the intros and the outros.
Yes.
Maybe sound effects, like in Mind Taming the Perilous Skies, I've got a marble that bounces on the table, which is kind of a little bit of a recurring theme. And so it's like, I could use sound effects there, or I could just have the narrator say tink, 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 tink. And so right now I'm going with all narrator because, again, not being distracted by tech or sound or just allowing my reader to get lost in story. So I don't know. We'll see how it all shakes out. But I think technically we'll be prepared to do a lot of different things. But the main thing is just to really get story across.
So how easy do you think it is for authors to build these things? I know. Okay. It's your product. I know you feel like it's easy, but what is the feedback you're getting from them?
Actually,
what has been the pain?
I'm the hardest. I'm actually our hardest customer. My demands on the product have so far been harder than anybody else's. Have been higher. The standard, the expectation have been higher than anybody else. And Joshua can vouch for this. And so,
or Joshua.
Yeah, that's right. So at times, at times, like I put in recently, just a couple weeks ago after we deployed our latest model, and we were ready for V1, I put the very first story that was ever unspoken called Kill Your Darlings. It was that story I created at Taos Toolbox, that same story that caused me to have so much difficulty and caused me to found the company, right? That was the first story that I put unspoken. And when we did that in July of last year, it was really painful. I put it on again. I didn't have to really change a thing about that multi-voice delivery. In other words, the newest models did it beautifully. On the other hand, you can get into chapters. I've done a number of chapters in my book where I have to handhold every one of those passages, and it's more work. So we're not there yet. We're not there where you can just turnkey multi-voice, boom, and it's just done. Sometimes you have to handle it. Sometimes it comes out great. Sometimes you got to do more work. So it's a range right now. But I will say this: control, workflow, update that story whenever you want, and just redeploy the audio whenever you want. The paradigm is never going to go back to the old paradigm.
No, it's this is the worst it's ever going to be.
This is the worst it's ever going to be.
Yeah, the old AI adage. This is the worst it's ever going to be. So, what are some of the mistakes that some of the people, when they're first getting into the program, what are some of the things that they do wrong and that they could improve on just by understanding that they could just easily go down another path? Is there something they're doing wrong, or commonalities? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Phil hinted at it or mentioned it a little earlier, and that is proofing the work. And so proofing the work is really important, right? I mean, even though you're getting it, even though it's automated, the process, you want to make sure that it's as desired. So beginning with proofing the voices. Sometimes new users will kind of rush through the voice process and sort of say like, okay, I'm content with whatever's, first available to click. And spending a little more time with that voice creation and that voice casting process can make all the difference in the world. Because if you
why does it make all the difference in the world?
Well, first of all, to preference, right? People will go ahead and they'll narrate their work and think, oh, well, you know what? Maybe I should have picked a different voice. But we do have it set up in the stages where you can take your time on the voices tab to go through the voice and make sure your casting's perfect. We'll set it up if you use auto assign in a way where we'll make that casting choice for you and we'll generate that voice. But just like any director, you're going to have sometimes varying opinions, based on what the casting director brings you.
Yeah.
And so we act as the casting director, but the creator should have final say and say, I was looking for a little bit more of a, Morgan Freeman narrator. I was looking for a little bit more of a John Lithgow. And so that's one of the bigger ones. Phil, maybe there's a few others you'd note.
Yeah, well, every character is different. If you're talking multi-voice, every character is different. And what's funny is this is a mistake that new users make. They're like, well, to AI, it'll just get it, close enough, mostly right, and so if they hit make spoken, the button actually says make spoken, right? Make your work spoken. So when it says make spoken, if they're not in the context of a chapter, they're in the context of all their chapters and their entire work. We pop up a pop-up that says, "Are you sure?
Really?
You're sure about this?"
Whoa.
Yeah.
This is the big button.
Try one of your chapters first,
This is the metaphorical big red button right here. This is the one. So you really want this?
That's right. Exactly. Well, hey, even more than that, we actually withdrew this button because it was causing our users all sorts of heartache. And that was our easy button. And what was that easy button? That's what made Taming the Perilous Skies the actual first fully automated multi-voice audiobook in history, was because I had enabled our easy button. What did that do? That not only auto-assigned every single voice for over 100 speaking characters, it proceeded right to narration, like boom, right? I went from manuscript to audiobook with a click. Okay. So
that would, oh no, I can't. I'm glad you got.
I'm going back now and I'm correcting a lot of things, but I'm just saying it was technically the first fully automated multi-voice audiobook in history.
Yeah, but that's still very. I have to say that right there would make me nervous hitting an easy button like that.
But as you said, this is the worst it's ever going to be. And someday it is going to be smart enough and good enough with your preferences. It knows what your preference is. Maybe you've got a history of different characters that you can already draw from, that you've already chosen, that will happen. One click, manuscript, multi-voice audiobook, without you having to do a thing. It will happen, and we're going to be the ones to bring it to you.
All right, this question's for both of you. What's the future, you think? 3-5 years from now? What do you think? What do you think we're looking at? The 2030. We're at 2030. We're at the magical 2030. Especially since the half of this decade was taken up by some distraction we had for 2 or 3 years, and now it feels like it should only be 2022, but now it's 2025, right? And we get spit out from that thing that happened into a brand spanking new accelerant called artificial intelligence, right? And then we go about our business. Everything is happening, and it's very much like 1995. Remember in 1995, and the difference between what 1995 and the year 2000 was, as far as the internet and how it exploded and stuff like that. So my question to you is, like, holistically, from the whole, looking at the entire industry and audiobooks and stuff like that. What do you anticipate it looking like in 3 to 5?
Sure. I'll go first, and then Josh will let you take over there.
Yeah, definitely for both of you.
Mine is just a follow-up to what I just said. That fully automated single click comes out great. That narrative cohesion, the perfect performance. I don't like to talk in terms of 5 years, because what I couldn't do a year ago, but I can do now, is so dramatic, so profound, that talking in terms of 5 years, I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I'm telling you that I just automated a multi-voice audiobook, right? I couldn't have done that a year ago. And so, yeah, I think people will still be lost in story. I think writers are still going to create great stories, and they're going to need to bring that to life through audio and the tools that will be available, and what we're going to bring to the table. I think it'll just be that much more advanced.
Joshua?
Yeah, I completely agree with Phil. And I think that we will reach a point in 5 years, you ask? 5 years?
3 to 5. You don't even have to go to 5 years, because I mean, Josh, everything was the same. Everything was all right, and then Nano Banana came out. When that came, remember before Nano Banana, when you couldn't edit these pictures and stuff like that. I created the picture that everyone saw in the very beginning. I created that in Nano Banana, and it would have been incredibly difficult to do without priming something in the background that says consistent character. Hey, here's your consistent character. Now you can do things with it. Now all you have to do is bring the pictures in and tell it what you want it to do, and they'll put you in a position or show you from a different angle or all kinds of craziness. So 3 years. You go with 3. You go with 3 if you want.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think that we will get to a point where we'll reach, I don't want to say the pinnacle of, but let's just say for now, a meeting point of democratization of tools and decentralization of platforms. I think that the technology will allow for the democratization of all kinds of tools in almost every area of the market, and the market itself will reach a decentralized point. And that will be, I think, like a great era for creators.
Man. All right, everyone. Here's where I open it up to everyone in the audience. Do you have a question for Phil or Joshua? Go ahead on and put it in the comments, and I will highlight it. I love what Sagas just said. I just signed up for Spoken, LOL. Testing this baby out. Loving the stream, guys. Thank you so much. And Heartless, what did you mean by already use it? We already use it on TV and film. We just don't advertise it. Does that mean you use artificial intelligence on TV and film and you just don't advertise it? Because I understand that paradigm since I do a lot of teaching of that sort of thing myself. And everyone wants to. I find it sad that the creative community can't fully embrace this new paradigm because it enhances and makes it so that they can do a lot of their jobs a lot quicker with different artificial intelligence paradigms. So I do wonder, is that what you mean? Heartless burger? No, stranger. Heartless stranger burger. Heartless stranger, is that what you mean? Because I would love to know. And well, let me see. I'm gonna just make sure I got all of my questions. But the reader experienced. Oh, Joshua, right? We were talking about the audio movie thing. Do you think that it's moving toward? You think that you're moving towards a audio sort of movie future? Is that what you meant by what you said about the 2 to 3? I mean 3 to 5?
Well, I think that the tools across the board for the creator are going to be democratized. Any type of tool they want to promote their work or sell their work. And this is something that we've talked a lot about in Phil's launch for his book, Taming the Perilous Skies, and his 100 Days to Launch series, and that is multimedia, and how multimedia is going to play a huge role in how the author promotes their book. One thing that we've done at Spoken is we've worked to craft these original book trailers using generative AI. And the authors who have had these trailers and they've gone out and promoted their work with it get really excited. And it's just another tool that was previously completely inaccessible, right? You're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, depending on the scale of a sci-fi or a fantasy, where people are getting these 1-minute high-level cinematic trailers to promote their book. I think those tools are going to ripple across the field, and we're going to discover ways to share art that don't even exist today, right?
I agree.
Augmented reality, who knows? Virtual reality, it's only growing by the day.
What's the catchphrase that everyone was trying to make a thing? Like fetch. He was like, stop trying to make fetch a thing, which was the metaverse.
Yes.
The metaverse, where you walk up to area in the metaverse and say, I want you to read me a story. I'm gonna sit down here and I'm gonna have myself a little moment, maybe a little brandy, and listen to this audiobook in this part of the metaverse. So you could be an author and you could have all of your books as different houses you could walk into or something like that. And then this artificial voice or a series of voices or narrators could come. And all right, y'all, I'm giving away the business models. You better be listening, everybody. I'm giving away the business models here. All right, so here we go.
I'd like to chime in with one other thing.
Oh, please. You are cut off, and is Phil back? He's coming back? I'm telling you, he's coming back. I know he. All right, now go ahead. Now you're back. Go ahead.
That's Elon Musk right there. That's Starlink's fault. Who I make fun of in the novel, by the way. I make fun of him in the novel. And my inventor of anti-gravity had a spat with Elon Musk, and so he went up and started picking off his Starlink satellites one by one because he could. So
I love it.
No, what I was gonna say, just as a little bit of a teaser, is not only are Joshua and our colleague Patrick putting together a great trailer for Taming the Perilous Skies, which will come out next week, but we also, and I'm not spilling the beans too much here because we actually include this in our docuseries for debut authors. We actually are now planning the full-length major motion picture, which we are going to produce.
And you're going to use AI to do it?
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
And so we're
brilliant.
doing, if you've seen any of the ads from Spoken, which you can just see at spoken.press,
Yeah.
we put together some things that are so leading edge just from a visual and sound perspective. It's crazy.
Mhm.
And so, where is this going to be in 5 years? Well, I'm hoping that Taming the Perilous Skies is one of those, exemplary examples of exemplary illustrations of how AI can truly bring a story to life. We're going to be focused on audio, certainly, but there's so many new dimensions that are opening up.
All right, here's one. How does it deal with the he said and such?
Yeah,
Does the
yeah,
narrator read that, or does it get omitted or other?
that's part of the multi-voice invention is the parsing, and so and,
He's coming. He's
you know,
coming back.
oh, am I here?
There you are.
Sorry. So
He
when we
heard.
talked earlier
He
about
heard
narrative,
you. He heard you.
okay,
You disparaged the Musk. He heard you.
yeah, no, that's right. So we talked earlier about narrative cohesion, emotions, padding, the spacing and all that. The other part of that is the parsing. And so, yes, when you choose multi-voice, we automate all of that. And that is that we lay out all of those passages with the amount of spacing, the emotional cues, and that separation so that you don't have to. That's if you choose multi-voice. You can also choose just single narrator, which is fine, or dual narrator if you're a romance writer and not like to have dual narrator. So you have plenty of choices.
And so it will in turn use it depending on whether you want it to be used or not. You can hit a button and it will either go away or they'll just switch between people so that it doesn't like mess up the narrative flow is what it is. Right, Joshua?
Correct. Yeah, you can switch between the dual narrator, single narrator, or multi-voice, and it will appropriately always attribute those dialogue tags to the narrator that you've selected.
Oh, very cool. All right, here's the next one. I'm just curious, what do you have available for short story writers instead of novels? Say for a drabble story. Drabble story? What's a drabble story?
Joshua, I might be temporarily back, but I'll have you answer most all these questions going forward because Elon's conspiring against me.
What is I don't know what drabble means, but I would dribble. I bet it's a dribble story. I bet they mean you want to dribble the story out. We were talking about possibly releasing something once a week or something like that. So what do you have for short story writers?
Yeah, all the same tools that are available for long form are available for short story, all the same, and they function just as well. There's actually, I mean, now it's shifting. There's a lot more novelists using the platform, but for a good period of time, short form was one of our primary use cases, and people were making all kinds of short stories and dribble stories, weekly episodics. Yeah,
very cool, very cool. And let me see here. I wonder what this one is. Rich Wright Stuff says I'm like, I have literally no clue what you mean. What you mean, Rich? Have no clue.
He was just correcting his first word of his prior note. That's all.
Oh, I'm just curious. I just curious. I get it. You don't want to have the Captain Caveman thing going. Let me just take another look here. So Phil, Joshua, you have this kind of movie and all of this stuff background, right? Does it inform the way you approach dealing with story, and especially in spoken, you specifically personally as your experience with it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that was my first experience with my stories. And then that's something that, that Phil and I really brainstorm on a lot when we go back to that cadence talk, is thinking of those cinematic moments where, like, the dialogue is going and the pace is back and forth. It's a battle between the characters, boom, boom, boom. And then you could hear a pin drop and that certain amount of silence. You think of it as that that motion picture or that cinematic arc, and then you apply it to the audiobook, and it creates, I think listeners would agree, like just a more immersive experience for sure.
I literally just finished shooting a video. I work over at 1111 Media Creator Academy, and we teach people about film and stuff like that, right? And one of the videos I was talking about was changing things. So say you have an audiobook. This is what I've been thinking. Is say you have an audiobook, but you want it to read like a script, right? And so sometimes you just want the subtext of what the people are saying to each other to do a lot of the heavy lifting. You know what I mean? And I do wonder what changes in the way that people are going to write stuff for spoken is going to change over the next 3 to 5 years. You know what I mean?
Pick me.
You come on, baby.
Yeah, no, we've already learned so much. And me as a writer using spoken, there are two things that become super interesting. In my book, half of my chapters are in first POV by my main character. The others are rotating third close POV. So my narrator of his chapters are him. My narrator of the other ones are an independent narrator. So they're right there, right? That changes things. Second thing, I take out so many dialogue tags when it's multi-voice because you know who's talking, right?
You do.
Who's talking. And so I'm just right in spoken, right? I'm just like, okay, delete that passage, because it's just he said, she said, they said, and so you write different, or at least you edit down a lot of those unnecessary dialogue tags. So those are two good examples for what you can do now that, with the right tools, before was just not possible.
Drabble is 100-word flash fiction. Thank you, Rich Writes Stuff. Drabble is 100. I had no. I probably should have, but I work mostly in like long form ideas. Well, actually, I work mostly in novellas. I have a series called Jump Box USMC, and I'll tell y'all a little secret. And some of the people who are listening right now, they already know this story. But Stargate SG-1 was canceled. Stargate Atlantis was canceled. Stargate Universe was canceled. And I got pissed. So I decided to write my own Stargate. Instead of it being Stargate, it's a little box that they use, and it can go from planet to planet and specific coordinates and stuff. But the way that I would love to release it is like a television show where there are 15 episodes in the season, and I want to release each episode once a week. And each episode is about 10 chapters long. And that right there, I feel like would be so perfect for the spoken paradigm, for the spoken shift in narrative storytelling. I mean, I'm starting to think there are so many different ways that you could really approach this thing. So many different business models that you could use, especially since y'all give the author the ability to download everything after. Now, does it still live on spoken even though you download it and stuff like that, or is it? Yeah,
it's up to you. If you want to have it live on spoken, if you want that first chapter or a teaser story, live on spoken, have it live on spoken. But you own all the rights to your work. We take no rights. You download your work and you take it with you. Pay for it. On the question of the Drabble being a 100-word story, I now understand the genesis of his question, because if we charge $5 for 5,000 words, and he only uses a couple hundred words, what do you do? In that case, we don't really kind of go down at that micro level. But what you can do is, if you have several of these, just put them in one project, and they'll all come out as separate MP3 files, each like a chapter of a book. We call them installments. So you can put in a.
Oh, I see. So you could put in. Oh, That makes a lot of sense, actually. So if you you could almost go anthology or something like that, right, Joshua?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm assuming someone like Rich probably has a collection of these that he's released that he'd want to turn into audio. And exactly like Phil said, just do them all at once, get the MP3s for the individual stories, and he's off to the races. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Another that oof, that would be very interesting. That would be actually very interesting. That means that Rich, if you have 100 word stories and we multiply that times 5,000, that's 50 stories, right? That you could put kind of in one sort of thing as individual. Yeah, so it wouldn't really matter. You just have to do it all at once if you really
And
wanted to get the
here's
money
another
out of
fun
it.
thing, is that every story that you download from Spoken comes with the Spoken jingle made with Spoken. Da, 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 da. We have a 6-tone thing, and then but made with Spoken, your title, author name are all spoken by your narrator, the narrator of your choice. So unlike this is Audible, it becomes yours, made with Spoken, blah blah blah, by such and such. That's all spoken by your narrator that you've chosen. And you can even have your own personal voice on there if you want that to be your voice. You can upload your own, just record it right into Spoken, use your personal voice. Memoirists and nonfiction writers love that. But yeah, that just personalizes the work. It makes it yours, and every spoken story right off the bat is going to sound different than the last.
By the way, impressive snap of your finger, my man. Uh, I have to say that sounded like a clap. It was so loud. I don't look like it looks like I don't have any more questions. Is there anything y'all want to talk about as far as the launch goes? What can people expect over the next few weeks, and as far as accessibility and stuff like that? I would love to know.
Yeah, continued ongoing improvement of the application, and continued integration with partners. We'll have B2B integrations with partners to make it easier and easier. And so, yeah, just improved workflow, improved integrations. We're going to be moving on to some of the automated trailer development as well. That'll be probably not by end of the year, probably early next. And so, but yeah, just constant improvement. Author community, you're our only focus. So when you all come together and say we need this or you need to change that, we're going to.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Phil and Joshua, and they are from the premier uh, program for creating automated audiobooks. It's just music to my ears. I am so AI forward. And you know this. A lot of y'all don't know this because I never released it because I ended up taking this job over here. But on my old channel, the Future Fiction Factory, which is very close to the Future Fiction Academy, I went around at Author Nation. They had a booth there, and we had a wonderful interview. And I got to like Phil then. I did. I was like, man, you're very personable. And this is what blows my mind, y'all. This man used to be a doctor, like used to be a medical friggin' doctor, and the entrepreneurial spirit, like he's Diamandis or something. The spirit of entrepreneurism has really just hit you. What is it about you doctors and deciding to go into technology this hard? I mean, it is pretty amazing that y'all were able to do this.
This is just the way I roll. I don't know. I haven't taken care of patients since the year 2000. I was trained as a surgeon, and yeah, but my initial, I did mostly in healthcare technology. So I ran product at WebMD, and then I created my own company called Conversa, and then I'm just like on this one, I'm out over my skis on media, right? I'm not a media mogul. I'm aspiring to be a media mogul, but that's
may that aspiration come true. And Joshua, man, I have to say, from a person who was in the film industry and then to kind of make this pivot into technology so hard, I bet a lot of people are just like pretty surprised at your transition from one thing to the other also. Am I right?
Yeah, that's always been sort of something that I've been I battle within myself, and I gotta say that Phil's entrepreneurial spirit and his multifaceted passions when it comes. I mean, Phil's got so many passions and things he does exceedingly well. It's made me more comfortable being multifaceted and feeling like, okay, you can pivot and be strong in those things and learn from those things and develop in those things. So, and I mean that truthfully, and that's been really inspiring to be here at Spoken in a group of people who are like-minded in that way. So we really thrive on that. We thrive on that energy here.
Ladies and gentlemen, they are Spoken. Spoken, the premier audiobook automation company. You need to come over there. There are links in the description below, and we are going to play it out with a little bit of the Spoken song. And I'll make sure after I get off of this that I put the link to the playlist that I still have to make into the description, so you'll be able to, especially the people who watch the replay, you'll be able to get your hands on this song and quite a few others, all of them with the same lyrics. So you'll be able to experience, just like when you're over at Spoken, you'll be able to experience this in a different way every time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a good time, because I sure did. You guys stay in the green room, and I will see the rest of you in class.
Stories alive, voices in harmony, dreams amplified. From the page to the wall, let the echoes ignite. Spoken makes your vision take flight. Authors with stories, hearts full of fire. Now you can cast every voice you desire. No limits, no waiting, no walls in your way. Your audiobook future begins here today. Every word, every scene, every character shines. Emotion in motion, your story's designed. Spoken, we bring your stories alive. Voices in harmony, dreams amplified. From the page to the wall,